Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A quick reminder of our top stories now. All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, flags off nationwide campaign ahead of the 2019 general elections, promises equity, transparency and accountability. Main opposition People's Democratic Party, the PDP, takes Southwest campaign rally to Oyo State, renews commitment to restructure Nigeria. Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha asked President Muhammadu Buhari to call APC National Chairman Adams Oshiomhole to order as 18 lawmakers of the State House of Assembly dump ruling party. China demands release of Huawei Technologies executive arrested in Canada over possible violation of sanctions against Iran. ChannelsTV.com has more information for you, and on YouTube.com/ChannelsWeb you can watch our videos. You can also watch us on your mobile device via your browser or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. Besides giving you access to news and updates on the go, the Channels TV and Channels 24 app have an eyewitness feature that you can use to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. Now to some of the pictures you sent to our eyewitness portal. First is this one from Dokpemu, Agege in Lagos State. It shows an electricity pole leaning on a gate, which our eyewitness says is situated between Dokpemu Market and Oyebanjo Street. He is appealing to the PHCN to promptly remove the pole so they can repair the gate. This next one is from Akwa Ibom State, southern Nigeria. Our eyewitness says that it shows the aftermath of a fire outbreak at the Federal Technical Girls College in Uyo, the state capital. He's grateful, though, to men of the fire service for putting out the inferno and ensuring that no life was lost in the incident. We do sincerely thank you for sending in those pictures, as we ask that you keep them coming. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, is calling for the judicious implementation of relevant laws and instruments put in place to address the rising cases of sexual and gender-based violence in the country. He was speaking at a two-day national conference organized by the federal government to draw up an action plan on ways to tackle the challenge. Correspondent Ibrahim Adra now reports.
It's a challenge that is fast gaining ground, with women and girls mostly at the receiving end. This national conference on sexual and gender-based violence, the first of its kind in Nigeria, is holding in the nation's capital. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, joins development partners and government officials at national and subnational levels to come up with strategies aimed at checking the phenomenon.
It might interest you to know that 1 in every 3 worldwide experience gender-based violence. And in Nigeria, 1 in every 3 between the ages of 15 and 24 experience physical violence. 16% have experienced physical and or partner violence. And another 25% of our girls and women aged between 15 to 49 have undergone female genital mutilation.
The Rule of Law Office in the Office of the Vice President has a lot to do with this initiative and the successes recorded thus far. For 2 days, these stakeholders will work to come up with a national response and coordination strategy.
I want you to deliberate and especially to look at the role of men and boys in the war against gender-based violence, the role of community and religious leaders as influencers of norms and practices, the role of citizens as effective mediators and the voice of victims in determining intervention, the need for alliances, how to strengthen existing collaboration, how to strengthen existing institutions, and for additional research that will provide us with the evidence that we need for more informed decisions on sexual and gender-based violence at all levels.
Professor Osinbajo, who is a he-for-she champion, believes Nigeria has in place laws and instruments to tackle the menace, but calls for judicious implementation. There were goodwill messages from representatives of UN agencies and development partners. The conference brings together participants from the police, state judiciaries, ministers of health and education from across the country. From Abuja, Ibrahim Adra, reporting for Channels Television News.
The second Niger bridge will be completed by 2020, and that's according to the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, who are confident that with that ongoing construction, there will be a realistic handover year for the project. The bridge, on completion, will be an invaluable addition to the nation's critical infrastructure.
The second Niger Bridge project involves the construction of an 11.9-kilometer 3x2 lane greenfield highway, which will be done in phases with a total cost of 220 billion naira. The first ever Niger Bridge was constructed in 1965 with a single bi-directional carriageway connecting southeastern Nigeria with western Nigeria over the river Niger, linking Asaba in Delta State. However, due to population growth in the area and the high rate of urbanization, the bridge is now overstretched to capacity and as a result suffers continuous strain from excessive vehicular weight, hence the need to construct a second Niger Bridge.
Like I said, the main works contract was signed. The contractor was paid his advance in August, and that is what is pushing us to feel very confident that from where we are, we're on track for what is a scheduled handover in 2022. It's a toll bridge and a toll road. It's a big project. It's extremely, you can already see from the size and scale of what is on site, the size of the project.
In February 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari had approved the establishment of the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund to be managed by the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority to attract investment capital for the development of 5 infrastructure projects, including the second Niger Bridge project. This is the bridge construction site with over 800 workers where heavy-duty reinforced concrete and other forms of precast operations are currently being done. And the NSIA is here, flanked by the traditional rulers of Onitsha and Asaba, on a tour to assess the level of progress made by the contractor.
We are at 16% progress of the entire project, including early works and main contract.
The economic impact of the second Niger Bridge cannot be overemphasized. Apart from reducing the pressure on the first Niger Bridge, on completion, it's expected that the bridge will bring improvement and accelerate the economic prosperity, transportation, and exchange of goods and services across the country.
You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, reaching you live from Lagos. Let's quickly shift gears now to our Abuja studios, where Terry Kumi is standing by with a couple more stories on the news at 10. Terry.
Hello, Gimba. Welcome to Abuja. The House of Representatives has asked the federal government to demonstrate strong political will to resuscitate the Ajaokuta steel plant by direct sourcing and disbursement of about $2 billion needed to complete the project. This is part of the recommendations adopted by the House following consideration of the report of its ad hoc committee, which looked into the failure of the Ajaokuta Steel Company. The House of Representatives has also recommended that the Abacha loot, which the committee believes was taken from money meant for the project, should be used to supplement the funds needed to complete the project. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi has the report.
The Ajaokuta Steel Company is one unique case study in the history of Nigeria. Conceived and initiated in 1983, the complex is yet to commence operation fully. In February this year, the Speaker of the House of Representatives paid a visit to the complex, following which the House convened a sectorial debate on the steel sector and how to revive the moribund Ajaokuta Steel Company.
To our collective shame, the present state of Ajaokuta Steel Complex is more of an expressive metaphor of our ineptitude and bad governance over the years.
The House resolved to investigate the reasons for the failure of the steel company. An ad hoc committee was immediately set up, headed by the majority leader of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila. The committee held a public hearing on the matter.
It was advised that after $8 billion that has been sunk into Ajaokuta, the advice by that advisory committee was no money should be put into Ajaokuta again.
During your presentation, you said it's practically completed. So what is required? How much, based on the auditing that you've done?
It has not been submitted to us yet, but we hear figures of 500 million, 1 billion.
We will have to let the cat out of the bag. From our technical audit, an estimated value of $625 million is an estimated value. Will be required to complete the plant and machineries.
The report of the committee has now come up for consideration. All the recommendations of the committee are adopted. Key among them is that the federal government should demonstrate a strong political will to resuscitate the Ajaokuta integrated steel plant by direct sourcing and disbursement of about $2 billion needed to revamp and complete the 2% external aspects of the project.
Approved.
Another recommendation is that the federal government should terminate the recent reconcession agreement entered into with Global Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, and that the government should cease from any further thought of concessioning steel companies in Nigeria.
Approved.
The lawmakers say since it has been established that most of the Abacha loot was gotten from the debt buyback deal involving Ajaokuta, the recovered loot should be used to supplement the completion of the Ajaokuta integrated steel plant. Hopefully, these recommendations will see the light of day and the Ajaokuta Steel Company will be up and running again. Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Staying with the House of Representatives now, lawmakers in the Green Chamber have adopted June the 12th every year as a day to commemorate Democracy Day in the country. The lawmakers took the decision during plenary after the adoption of a report on the bill seeking to approve June 12 as Democracy Day by the Committee of the Whole. The report recommended amendments to 3 clauses in the Act, with one of the amended clauses replacing May 29 with June 12 as Democracy Day. With the adoption, the bill seeking to approve June 12 as Democracy Day has passed a key legislative stage in the House. However, it is yet to pass through the third reading and be finally passed by the lower chamber of the National Assembly. Now, the National Broadcasting Commission and some players in the sector have opposed some proposed amendments to the National Broadcasting Commission Act by the House of Representatives. This was the consensus of most participants during a public hearing organized by the House Committee on Information on the legislation to amend the Broadcasting Act towards strengthening the Commission and making it more effective to regulate broadcasting in Nigeria. Other amendments, which include the need to ensure that all television and cable services run education programs in line with school curricula, were endorsed by all participants.
Take it as the way.
Top officials of the National Broadcasting Commission, officials of broadcast organizations, and other participants are gathered here for a public hearing organized by the House Committee on Information and National Orientation. It is on a bill seeking to amend the National Broadcasting Commission Act.
It is an obedience to the clarion call as provided for the report of the ad hoc committee set up by the House of Representatives to investigate the DSO process in Nigeria. In the report of the said committee, requests were made for the need to have a legal framework in legislative terms to support the DSO process in Nigeria.
With no representation from the Minister of Information, the National Broadcasting Commission is first to speak on the proposed legislation.
The Commission proposes that this subsection be removed. The provision is contrary to the ongoing digital switchover DSO program of the Federal Government of Nigeria and the government white paper on the report of the Presidential Advisory Committee, PSC, on transition from analog to digital terrestrial broadcasting in Nigeria.
The Commission also opposed the proposal that the decisions of the Commission be subject to legislative approval. The views that followed aligned with that of the National Broadcast Commission.
Any legislation that prevents the MBC, that prevents the MBC or makes the MBC to vary or alter its licensing type or licensing conditions, especially for as it relates to the carriage of content, which is technology dependent, will totally cripple NBC. And that is not the intent, as I read from the long title of this amendment and the objective stated.
Other amendments contained in the proposed legislation were supported by participants. The committee is expected to submit its report from this hearing to the House for consideration. Now, when the news at 10 returns, African Development Bank's total sectoral investment in Nigeria tops $5 billion. That's on Business News. Join us again.